Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Inspire CA. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Abhishek Agarwal. Abhishek has graduated from SRCC, which is one of the top ranked commerce colleges in India. He was an All India rank 2 in CA IPCC and has recently completed his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, which is the top ranked business school in our country. He also had a brief stint at EY and Goldman Sachs as an investment banking analyst. And cherry on the top, he has also completed all his levels of CFA. So today, Abhishek will be sharing with us his experience and journey and having achieved such diverse and, need I say, very difficult career paths. So a very warm welcome, Abhishek. I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I will start with my first question. So my first question is regarding the first decision that every CA aspirant has to take before joining CA course, which is what do you think is the importance of a regular college over a correspondence one, which is opted by a lot of CA students?
See, I think the basic advantage of going to a college is that you get a lot of perspective. So when I was in 12th, when I had to make the same decision, I always thought that okay, after taking up commerce and graduating from 12th, you'll do a CA. But when I went to SRCC, I just saw that that's not the case. There are people who are doing CFA. There are people who want to do an MBA, like get a good job, get some work experience and do an MBA. There are people into actuaries, and there are also people who are doing CAs. And these are probably the best students in the country. And even with a regular college, people are cracking CA. So it's not like a mutually exclusive set that either you can do a CA or either you can go to a regular college. So it helps you get a lot of perspective. It helps you delve into a lot of options. And obviously, when you go interact with a lot of people, you participate in activities that are also very good for your emotional intelligence and your overall personality development. So I think it's very important that people, if they're getting a chance to go to a regular college, no matter like if it fulfills certain criterias of reputation or the kind of people that you'll be interacting with, I think that they should definitely choose to go to regular college and not miss out on the opportunity.
Thanks, Abhishek. Why did you choose to opt for CA initially in the first phase?
Yeah. So my father's a CA,
Okay.
and I'm guessing this must be the case with a lot of people who would be watching this interview. So my introduction to this field was predominantly because of him, and this is why mainly the reason why after 12th I thought, okay, this is a professional course. This is something that would help me get a good grasp of accounting and finance, and that is probably the reason why I chose to go for a CA after 12th.
Okay. So with such a stellar profile, everyone expected you to, I think everyone expected you to score a rank in your CA finals as well, but you decided to pursue MBA instead. And I think that the next question I'm going to ask must have definitely been asked by your IM interview panelists. So you were an All India rank 2 in CA IPCC and you were interning with one of the big fours. So even after such great success, why did you choose to take up MBA instead of continuing with CA? Because people leave CA when they are not able to clear it, but you left CA in spite of all this.
See, I did not. I wouldn't say I left CA for MBA. It
Okay.
didn't happen like that. That okay, I leave CA because I do have to do an MBA. So when I started working out with EY, it was a like a great firm. I was getting top notch, getting to work on assignments with top notch clients. The team was great. I was being given that responsibility, but somehow I didn't see myself working in that particular field for a longer period of time. I didn't see myself working in this field for the next 10 to 15 years. So when I knew that there's no point in continuing just for the sake of a degree on my wall, just for the sake of passing another exam. There's no use of spending another 2.5 years in the same field when I know I'm not going to do it in the longer run. So that is when I took the decision that it's probably better to get the experience right now, whatever I have, and just move on to other thing. Let me figure out what are the other options that I have and where my interest lies. And that is the reason why I decided that it's probably prudent to not give my CA final exams.
I also think that it is perfectly fine that if you're good at something, that doesn't mean that that is your cup of tea, and does not mean that you have to make it your passion or your life goal out of that. The course
Absolutely.
should match our capability as well as passion, both. So I think that's perfectly fine if someone switches in between. And I always recommend to students as well that do not cling to CA course so much that some students make it their ultimate goal. If they become a CA, then it's all good and good. But if they fail to become one, they start to doubt and regret it themselves. So I think everyone should give their 100%. But if it doesn't work for you, then there are other great courses as well, I think.
Yeah, apart from other great courses, we have to understand, we have to take life a bit easy. I think
Right.
we take life a bit more seriously. So that shouldn't be the case. People are doing just fine. I don't see people who are not CAs,
Right.
cribbing about how they could have been CAs. Everyone's
Right.
doing just fine. The longer run, everyone's pretty happy with their lives. I don't think somebody who couldn't clear CA 20 years ago now being very sad about, oh, I couldn't clear CA, it would have been great if I could have cleared CA. People are happy with their lives. People find other avenues to channel their intelligence or creativity. So you shouldn't make it a matter of life and death. People
Right.
take it very seriously.
Yes.
So give your best, and then wherever life takes you, just try to go with the flow. That's what I
Yeah.
like to say.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so you had a brief stint at Goldman Sachs as well as an investment banking analyst. So would you like to tell how was your work profile and your experience there like?
So it was a typical pre-MBA role in an investment banking division. So I wasn't working on deals. I wasn't like part of a core team which was working on deals. I was part of a team which was catering to investment banking teams across the globe, and we were helping them in making their pitch books, running some deal runs, or probably getting some public data that they needed to compile their presentations. We do operational benchmarking, financial benchmarking. We do some multiples. So that is the kind of role that I was in. So it wasn't around valuations. It wasn't around financial modeling. I doubt if you'd get that pre-MBA in India at least. So that is kind of the work profile that I had in Goldman.
So you must have also seen some CAs in your batch at IIM Ahmedabad. So what value do you think an MBA would add to a serious CS career?
I think if you want to go into industries like investment banking or
Right.
sales and trading, the
Hmm.
market side, I think an MBA kind of has become a must-have now, because that's how the recruiting happens. So it's very tough for somebody with a non-MBA to get into these fields, at least in the top tier firms. How much value does a CA add? I think initially it does a lot, because you get a lot of engineers in your batch who don't have a financial or accounting background. So initially you do, but I think over the course of 2 years, that gap is bridged by the courses you take in your MBA. That gap is bridged. So I wouldn't say that a CA has, of course, like they know accounting and finance a lot better, but I think somewhere the gap can be bridged over those 2 years. So it's a good starting advantage. You have a heads up, but then it's all about how you utilize those 2 years and how well you do in your MBA.
So if a CA plans to do an MBA after his CA, do they get any preference in the IIMs considering that there are very few of them in those institutes?
Yeah, yes, they do. I think even for getting a shortlist, many colleges give you extra points.
Okay.
I'm not sure about this, but I've heard this is the case. Otherwise, for the final interview, it's totally the call of the jury. So you can't say that they get preference or not. But we've seen over the years that as CAs are uh, one, for the diversity that they offer, and two, for because it's a professional degree and you come up with a lot of experience, accounting and finance, and also work experience. So they probably think that they can add value to the overall batch. So yes, they do get a preference, as far as I've seen.
So before the next question, I would like to just share a story with all of you. So during my own IPCC preparation, I saw Abhishek during a felicitation ceremony, and I was really much impressed by not just by his academic potential, but by his communication skills as well, and that really motivated me to aim for a rank as well. So as you know, as CS, we do not generally have a very strong command over our communication skill. So what do you think that a CA can do to build upon that?
See, I think communication is all about practice. If you want to learn a language, for example, it's all about practice. when we learned this alphabet ourselves, it was all about practice, right? So it's all about practice. If you feel that are not very confident when talking when giving interviews, for example, just practice as much as you can. And this is where even regular college comes into place. So when I went into SRCC, I saw that there are a lot of people who are very fluently giving interviews or were very actively engaging in debates. So that really gave me the motivation that, okay, even I can learn from them, even I can improve myself. So I think the only key here is just practice a lot, and just don't think that, okay, if I'm in a CA course, my communication is bound to be pretty poor, or MBAs have a very good communication skills, so that is one department where I'll always lag as a chartered accountant. That's certainly not the case. The key would be to be very focused that I have to improve my skills in this department, and to practice as much as you can. So that is what I'll have to say on this one.
Okay, thanks for the advice, Vishal. So, for some time, I've been personally mentoring some students, some CA final students, and the common issue I see is the lack of motivation and the fear of exams, considering the very low passing percentage in CA. So, during your own CA preparation journey, during the IPCC phase, how did you keep yourself motivated, and what do you think can students do, especially when right now going out of their house is not really an option?
Yeah. I think this pass percentage, the whole fear around pass percentage is a bit over the top. We have to realize that this pass percentage is very low because there are lakhs of students who give the exam. There are so many students who give the exam, so the pass percentage is bound to be very less. And a lot of them aren't even very motivated, aren't really very focused as well. So you have a big sample size, out of which half of them aren't even a true representative. So that's why these pass percentages are like 4 or 5%. So you kind of fear the pass percentage. In terms of getting motivated, I can't really suggest something which would apply to everyone. But all I can say is, from an exam perspective, if you're confident that you've really understood the material, if you've been consistent, if you've been practicing well, if you've been taking mock exams and seeing where you're lacking and then improving upon them, I don't think there's anything much more you want to do from removing that fear from your mind. Fear comes in when you're not confident, and confidence comes when you have a lot of practice. So the only thing I would say is not go about that 4% or 5% number. That's not a true representation of your ability or your chances. And just practice as much as you can and be consistent.
Right.
So
So the
if,
only
if you
yeah.
if you're taking coaching classes, if you have a certain schedule, stick to it. Don't take it lightly. You can't be like, okay, this week I'll take an off and then cover up in next 2 weeks. In emergency situations, that might be the case, but don't make it a habit. Be consistent, practice as much as you can, and don't talk to a lot of people around past percentages or the chances of me getting, or try to analyzing, okay, this exam, because the pass percentage was very high in the last one, this year the pass percentage is going to be low. Don't please fall into all those useless stuff.
Right. So the only thing to fear here is fear itself.
Yeah, probably, because it's not going to help you in any way. It's only going to get you deeper in that phase of self doubt, and where you build pressure around yourself. So there's really not much use. And as I said earlier, it shouldn't be made a matter of life and death. People do just fine in their lives. Everyone's happy. At least I don't think somebody's sad in their life because they couldn't accomplish certain professional thing that they aimed. So I don't think that's the case. So probably ask yourself the question: is it going to matter in the next 10 years? And most of the time, I think the answer is going to be no.
Right. Okay. So what are some of the high-end jobs in which would be difficult for a CA to break into as compared to an MBA from a top institute?
See, I think it wouldn't be right to say for a CA to break as compared to MBA. It's got nothing to do with the skills. It's more about how now the industry is structured. So if you want to get into jobs like investment banking or equity research or sales and trading, or private equity, it's only because these jobs are so competitive. These jobs are so much in like the available jobs are so less, but the amount of people that are applying for these jobs are so high that these institutions just only take an MBA. So it's at least for the top tier firms, as I've said earlier. So there are also jobs I'm not saying that the chances are absolutely zero, but the way the industry is structured, the way things have been happening for the last 10 to 12 years, it becomes extremely tough because of how they hire candidates. So that is the only reason. And now with a lot of CAs into MBAs as well, even companies who might have preferred a chartered accountant say that, okay, if I'm getting a chartered accountant who's also an MBA, why do I have to look somewhere else? So that's how the industry is being structured, and that's why it becomes tougher for a person with not an MBA to get into these jobs. I'm not saying it's impossible, but yeah, it does get a little bit tough.
Okay. Nowadays, a lot of CAs are also doing CFA along with their CA course. And they're hoping to get into investment banking, private equity, and equity analyst, as you say. Do you think CFA adds value along with CA if someone wants to work in these specific high areas?
See, I think for a CFA, it's not a mandatory requirement, at least when it comes to investment banking or private equity. For equity analyst and portfolio management, some firms do have a qualification that, okay, we need only a CFA. So I don't think it's a mandatory requirement, so it won't help you in that sense. But as I've said earlier, these are so competitive jobs and there are so many people applying for a single position. It does give a signaling value to the recruiter as well that you've also done a CFA, which tells him a lot about your capability and your interest in the field. So it does not have a direct impact on your chances, but obviously it adds value to your knowledge and gives a signaling to the recruiter. So it's kind of has an indirect impact, but I won't say it's a very, very direct impact on your chances of breaking into these jobs.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Abhishek, that was my last question. And thanks a lot for sharing your story. And I really appreciate you for taking out your time for this. And I'm sure a lot of people will be motivated by this. So thanks a lot for doing this. And I have to say your stage presence, I mean Zoom presence, is really good. So
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.